as the male being, there is a pathway of progress to becoming a man, to manhood, and it involves how we think, how we conduct ourselves, and in basically how we behave. So it's about understanding what my purpose is again. But let me bring it back to the child. Let me use myself as an example. Growing up for me wasn't in a very, how do I put it, a very encouraging environment.
Okay.
I didn't really have any vision of what I wanted to do. I mean, you talk to people and say, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they will tell you, I didn't have that. And I boiled that down to the fact that I really didn't have any mentors, any people around me that could guide that path of me to where I am today. Now, did I not have parents? I did. But they did not have the set of skills that I needed for that part of my life. They loved me to bits. I mean, they loved me to the extent that any parent could. But there was still a part of me that wasn't sure about what I wanted to do with my life. So as I grew, I realized that I kept going and doing things that I shouldn't be doing. I went to primary school because everyone my age went to primary school. Yes, I went to secondary school because everyone, I mean, people who go into school and say, okay, I want to choose this subject. This is what I wanted to do in future. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
I remember in secondary school, I was the only one that was not offering English because I felt it was an elective. You had an option not to take English. And one of my teachers was like, are you all right at all? I said, well, I didn't know you had to do it. So that gives you an idea of how far away I was from where I am today. In fact, it took me years. I did not find out what I actually wanted to do with my life until I got into the age of 33. So for the first 33 years of my life, I was actually going nowhere.
You had something common with Jesus.
Thank you. So for me, I got to a point in life where I actually failed. I failed throughout school. Academically, I was hopeless. I was the one that failures in class would look at and they would be very happy. I mean, you have two people in class, they fail an exam, and the one looks at the other one and says, at least I didn't fail that. That was me. I was the one that made failures comfortable. But I got to a point when I'd failed. I said to myself, look, you can either choose to live your life like this, stay here, and have a pity party for the rest of your life, or do something about it. And that began to happen when I started noticing that men around me were at different levels in terms of achievement, in terms of how they related with their society. So I decided to choose, I wanted to make an impact in life. I wanted to make an impact in people. And what I actually did was ironic. I started to read to develop myself 1 hour every day. And by the end of the year, I realized that what I actually wanted to do was to help people build their lives so that they don't go through the things that I've gone through. And that story, I mean, man, after that, I literally flew. Now, I have people who I was in school with who didn't have any hope that I was going to become anyone
of that time.
Exactly, pay to hear me speak.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that there is a process of growth. So to grow from childhood to manhood, there is a need to develop mentally, which is the place of school. But not just school in terms of academic, but school in terms of learning. There is a place of behavior, learning the behaviors that are necessary to help you become who you want to be. But then to become who you should be means you have identified who you'd like to be. There are loads of things, processes that a child, a teenager should get involved in or with that would make that transition from childhood or teenagehood to manhood very well, a little bit smoother. So behavior, thoughts, those are two core areas that would help anyone move from childhood to adulthood. Yeah. So before a man would dabble even into marriage, he should have an idea of what it is he's doing, where it is he's heading. I'll give you a fine example. Before I got married, there was something that was key for me in choosing who I was going to end up with in marriage. And I didn't want Miss Right. You see, let me rephrase that. When Adam named all the animals, when he was going about his assignment, that was when God said he needs a helper suitable for him. So what I decided to do was to try to identify where I was heading in life, and then to ask God to help me find someone who would help me achieve those same goals. And that is what that is who I actually ended up with. So we're talking about the role of a man in building the home. One of the core jobs of the man in the home is to build direction, is to help that home find direction. Where are we heading as a family? The Bible describes the man as the head of the home. He's the head of the woman, and God is the head of all souls. So the core responsibility of the man in the home is to help the home build direction. Where we go in terms of our finances, in terms of how we relate with each other, in terms of our health, in terms of our well-being, in terms of where we're heading now. Does that mean the man gets to take all the decision? No, but he takes the lead. My wife would say something very interesting. She said, "I know you are the head, but I am the neck that turns the head." Very funny, but then what it tells
I
us
say that a lot as well.
Stop it. It's interesting that the fact that the man is the head does not mean he has the responsibility of making all the decisions. So you see, ensuring that the man ends up with the right partner, with the right person by his side, is a very key decision that will ease the pressure on the man in going forward to achieve the goal, including raising kids, including how those kids grow up and become who they will be in future. So that is the one thing that I think the man should do in the home. In fact, that around that everything else evolves. When I work with churches, one of the things I say to the pastors is, look, what is the vision that God gave you for this church? And when they say that, I say to them, look, that vision must not change for any reason. However, the way you go about achieving those goals, they're subject to change. They have to be flexible to reflect changes in societies, changes in environment, changes in time. It's the same thing with the home. Once we decide where we're heading as a home, including where our kids are heading, it means we need to start to alter the plans of helping them achieve those goals. So again, it's about ensuring that those plans are made clear from the onset. Sorry, the goal is set clear from the onset. The plans should be made in such a way that it's flexible in its execution. Things will happen that you will not have control over. The economy will change. Brexit will happen. You understand? So those things should, how do I put it? You can cast the vision in stone, but write your plans on sand. Because sometimes parents, we sometimes try to get our kids to live the life that we failed to live. So when they end up saying, "But Dad, I don't want to be a doctor," we get upset. The reason we get upset is because we're the ones that wanted to be doctors, and for some reason we couldn't become. Now we want our kids to be doctors. Sometimes it's that way. So it's there's a whole lot of dynamic going on in helping our kids, in selling those dreams to our kids, and them eventually achieving those dreams. Yeah. In planning, there's something you call outcome goals. And then there are those you call performance goals. The outcome goals tells you about where we're heading. I want to become a millionaire. I want to build a home where I have a wife, I have 2 kids, and they would grow up to become XYZ. That's the outcome goal. That is the end product. That is what we aim for. The performance goals are the things that I need to do to ensure that I achieve that goal. The truth is, I actually don't have any control over that outcome. All I have control over is the things that I can do on a daily basis in order
get
to
us
achieve
there.
that goal. But see, the ironic thing is that if I don't set a clear outcome goal, if I don't set a clear end goal, what I do on a daily basis becomes a chore. They don't make sense. You see, our activities only take up meaning and says within the context of a larger goal. So if as the head of the home, I have not set a health goal. So why should I, when my kid goes into the fridge at 12 midnight and is eating chocolate and yogurt for the next 1 hour, there's no point of reference for him to do or not to do that. But if we've said, look, you need to live a healthy life where this is your exact weight. This is how you would feel when you jog 1 mile. Then eating a bar of chocolate or taking all this junk at 12 midnight suddenly takes on another meaning entirely. So, which is where I say, look, until the man takes up the responsibility of setting the goals for the family, then we're going to keep doing things anyhow. So, that is key. That is key. You know, in most journeys in life, the biggest challenge that you would ever face would be yourself. It sounds ironic, but going by the people I've worked with over the years, I've realized that if you're not able to understand who you are on the inside, if you're not able to address the core challenges that you're going through on the inside, you see, the ones external, they won't make much of an impact on your life. I'll give you a fine example. Again, I'm going to go back to myself. When I was in school, one of the subjects I struggled with the most was maths. I literally failed maths from primary all through to secondary school. I was hopeless. One, I hated as far as was concerned, it was a foreign language. So why are we learning this? Secondly, I felt I didn't need it for any aspect of my life in future. So I decided to turn my back against maths. So 6 years primary school, failed maths throughout. 5 years through secondary school, failed maths throughout. 11 years. But you realize that it took me 8 months to learn everything there was to learn about maths. Go sit the exam, pass it, go on to teach maths from primary school up onto university level and to teach MBA maths. Now the question is, what happened?
Yeah.
I got to a point where I was confronted with the fact that, Emmanuel, if you're going to move forward in life academically, you needed to gain at least a pass, just pass maths. And then I said to myself, okay, how will I do this? I spoke to my mom, and God bless her. She bought me a maths textbook and said, look, you've decided you want to learn this. Here's a maths textbook. But when I opened it, it was Greek. It was like foreign language. I shut the book back. I will never forget the first chapter of that book was binary operations, which is you add 1 plus 0, it gives you 1 0, or 1 plus 1 gives you. It didn't make sense. I was having problems adding regular numbers. Now you're giving me base operations. But you know what? I made a decision that I was not going to give up until I passed. Being a role model for our kids cannot be overemphasized.
Yeah.
You know, the Jesuit said, if you give me a child for 7 years and I'll tell you who he will be as a man. The formative years of every child is the first 7 years, and anyone or any group they spend the first 7 years with them will most impact their lives. So in those formative years, we are the ones that should spend the most time with our kids. I know they will go to school, but when I say spend time with them, it's bombarding them at the same rate at which the media, the environment outside ourselves are bombarding them. What are the virtues or values that we want them to inculcate? They need to see us inculcate those values. If you want your kids to pray, they need to be seeing you praying. If you want them to be respectful, they need to see you being respectful. They say, look, who you are speaks to me way much louder than what you say.
Yeah.
So actions, they say, speaks louder than words. It's fact, really.
Yeah.
You see, if there's anything that you're struggling with in life, you need to realize that there are people who are succeeding in those fields. Question is, what are they doing that you're probably not doing, or that you could do in a different way? So for me, the challenge starts with the self. Once you accept that you cannot do it, that's it. I think it was Henry Ford that said, whether you believe you can or you cannot, you are right. So if you want to achieve any result, first of all, start with self. Secondly, is the fact that you need to, let me use a Christian word, deliver yourself from societal pressure. Whether you're aware of it or not, in everything that we do, in every field of life, society has put measurements, standards that if you don't measure up to, then you're failed. So my question is this: what are the standards that society has placed on what it means to be a man?
It's success.
A success. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I get that.
over the years, the definition of what it means to be a man has become very vague. You see, if you had asked me this question 50 years ago, what is manhood? It would have been very easy to answer. A man is the person that goes out to work, earns income, comes back home and takes care of the home. He buys this, he does this, he fits stuff around the home. But over the years, things have changed. Well, what do I mean? Man has gone through 3 depressions, economic depressions. Now, during those times, it was the men that would go to work. So during the economic depression, it was the men that were losing their jobs, and the women started going to work. So what you now had was a gradual transition of women into the workplace. Now you had 2 world wars. Who were those that went to war? The men. While they were at war, the women who were at home suddenly started finding themselves in the factories. So when the laying off and the deaths were happening, what you had was a gradual shift of the traditional role of the women away from the home front into the field of work. So now you have women who have good jobs, have their own cars, have their own homes, can have kids outside marriage. The question now is, what do they need a man for? So over the years, the traditional role of manhood, of being a man, has been redefined by our society. The same thing with our religion. If you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, there are unconsciously or consciously certain standards that have been set in those places, which is why, I see, again, I'm coming back to society setting those standards. You need to define for yourself what success and manhood means. As a married woman, you need to define for your man what you expect from him, what your definition of manhood is for them. Before the child comes in, one, the man should have had a plan, a goal for the family. When the wife comes in, then the 2 of them should have sat down to replan the goal that the man sets. It may not be to change the goal entirely, it may be to change how to achieve it. Now, what that should include is, are we going to have kids? If the answer is yes, how many? If the answer is 2 or 4 or 6, then what sort of lifestyle do we want to give them? Because what happens is, once child number 1 lands, yes, there may be certain things that will throw you a curveball when they come in at first. I mean, it's the first child, you've never been here before, and things change. But somewhere along the line, because there is a destination set, you start to ask yourself, all right, so which school should this child go to? How should we be talking to this child? So again, it all goes back to visiting that outcome goal and allowing your performance goals to change in order to meet that outcome goal. There is no such, again, I'm going to use another phrase. He said, no man is an island. It is practically impossible for you to have a goal that is independent of all the goals of all the people around you. If anything, regardless of the goals that you set in life, there would be people that you would need in your life in order to help you achieve those goals. So what we're saying in this case is that as a man, have an idea of where you're heading in life. You may not know clearly, but have an idea. That will drive your actions, drive your behavior, drive the sort of people that you're attracted to. So the day you come across or come in contact with someone who's sharing the same ideas with you, it becomes easy to understand. For example, if I said to you, I was heading to London, all right, and on my way to London, I find someone heading towards Bristol. That tells me clearly that we're not heading in the same direction. And in our conversations, in the places that we choose to go to, it becomes clear. Now, for me to say to myself that, okay, this is the person I'd like to go with, it's either I'm going to go with them to Bristol first, then we're going to head to London, or they're going to change their mind and head to London with me. But what we're saying is that there could be someone saying, look, I'm going somewhere that's nearer to London, or I'm going to London. So your ability to define clearly for yourself where it is you're heading makes it very easy. No, let me put it this way. Helps you put into context the activities, the behaviors, and the environment of the within which you find yourself. So when people talk, you see them in a different light. Do you realize that we're the center of our own world? Everything that we hear, we use ourselves as the basis to judge those things. So when I say I'm going to London, suddenly everything else takes on fresh meaning. And that is the role that the man should have. So when I listen to someone, I'm asking myself, how does this person's visions, ideas tie into mine?